Hey there, welcome to Pre-Cal Lecture 2.10, where we are going to be solving quadratic inequalities. All right, you'll be taking notes on your own paper today. All right, so we'll just go straight into the example problem. So let's say we want to solve 2x squared plus 5x minus 12 is greater than or equal to 0. So instead of finding x is equal to something exactly, with this inequality, what we're going to be finding is what range of values makes this statement true. So where or what values of x makes the equation greater than or equal to 0. So positive or equal to 0. But you solve it really the same way in the beginning. We're just going to factor. So this would be 2x and x. And I need, let's see, will a 6 and 2 work? How about a 4 and a 3, 3 and a 4, 8? Yeah, that'll work. So 3 and a 4. So how about a minus plus? That'd give me 2x squared minus 3x plus 8x. That's 5x, and then negative 3 times 4 is negative 12. So we're going to set 2x minus 3 equal to 0. This doesn't give us the answer, so you have 2x is equal to 3, so x is equal to 3/2, and here x would be equal to negative 4. All right, that makes it 0. 3/2 and negative 4 are critical points. All right, that's not the solution. Those are critical points. So what we want to do is draw a sign line. So this is just a number line, negative infinity, positive infinity, and we want to place our critical points. Now you have to go from less to more, so we've got to put negative 4 first and then 3/2 second. Okay, so what we want to do is find out any number less than negative 4. Does it make the original equation positive or negative? Okay. Well, what I like to do is pick numbers that are easy to deal with. Okay, so a number less than negative 4 that's easy to deal with would be negative 10. Okay, I could probably do that in my head. I'll write it out, but let's try negative 10. And we're going to plug back into the original equation. So 2 times negative 10 squared plus 5 times negative 10 minus 12, okay? Well, that's going to be negative 10 squared is 100. That's 200 minus 50 minus 12. I don't really care what the answer is. I know it's positive. Okay, so anything less than negative 4 gives me a positive answer when plugged back into the original equation. Okay, how about between negative 4 and 3/2? The one you want to pick anytime you can is 0. All right, so let's try 0. That's in that interval, right? So that's 2 times 0 squared plus 5 times 0 minus 12. That's going to be 0 minus negative 12, right? That's going to be a negative number. Okay, so I'm going to write up on the top of this sign line, in this interval between negative 4 and 3/2, this equation, the original equation, is negative. when you plug those numbers in for x. And then a number greater than 3/2 that's easy to deal with. I like to do tens. You could do 1,000,000. So let's try 10. So I'd have 2 times 10 squared plus 5 times 10 minus 12. I know that answer is going to be positive. All right, now you can do all this in your calculator. You could even do it up here. You can say, okay, let's that negative 10, that's this parenthesis is negative, this parenthesis is negative. Negative times negative is a positive. So you can do it one parenthesis at a time when it's 0. That if you plug in 0 here, it's -3 for this side. It'd be 4. -3 times 4 is negative, so negative. But I'm plugging back into the original equation, and that's so easy to do in your calculator if you don't like to do the math in your head. Okay. So I found the critical points, though. So the solution, what values of x would make this equation greater than or equal to 0? Well, it's from -infinity. So our answer is going to be in the form of an interval, -infinity to -4. The question is, do I use a bracket or a parenthesis here? Well, it's greater than or equal to 0, so it can be equal to -4, so we use a bracket. All right, and also anything greater than 3/2, but it can be equal to 3/2 because it's greater than or equal to. So 3/2 and infinity. And remember, infinity is not bracketable. So what we do is we use this union symbol. Maybe you've seen that before. What this is telling you is any number from -infinity to -4 satisfies this equation, this inequality. And then any number from 3/2 to infinity satisfies this inequality, okay? But these in between, -4 and 3/2, those do not satisfy the inequality. Okay, so this is the form that you need to present the solution in. Okay, let's do another one, and this is a real short lecture. We'll be done. There's no 2.10.2, so I really didn't even need to number this lecture. Sometimes I just start numbering and then I realize I don't need to. Okay, so let's say we have 3x squared is less than -10 minus 13x. Okay, first of all, I want to set this inequality, I want to pull everything over to one side. So how about 3x squared? I'm going to add 13x, add 10, less than or equal to 0. That way we want to do it that way because we want to be able to try to factor it. Okay, I've got 3x, x. Everything's plus here, so I know it's got to be plus. And how about, let's see, how about 10 and 1? That's going to give me 3x squared plus 10x plus 3x, and then plus 10. So, yeah, easy. Okay, so now let's, we've got to figure out the critical points. So we know 3x plus 10, we have to set that equal to 0, x plus 1 equal to 0. 3x equals -10, so x is equal to -10/3. That's one critical point. And then x is equal to -1. That's another critical point. Okay, so we want to put it from left to right, our sign line. I'm going to put it up here next to the original equation. So we're going -infinity, +infinity, -10/3, smallest number first, and then -1. Okay, so this time I'm not gonna write what I'm gonna try. I'm going to just kind of do it in my head, since I showed you how to do that before. That's negative 3.33. Let's try, I'll go ahead and write this down. Try negative 10 into the original equation. That's in on this side of negative 10 thirds. Okay, so that's going to be 3 times 100, 300. Negative 10 squared is 100. Minus 130, right? So 300 minus 130 plus 10. So that's going to be positive. But go ahead and put it in your calculator if you don't like doing math in your head. Now, how about between negative 10 thirds and negative 1? Negative 2, I think, would be a number that we could put into our original equation. So negative 2, that's 3 times 4 is 12, minus 26. So that'd be negative 12 minus 20, negative 14 plus 10. So that's going to be negative. And then an easy number bigger than negative 1 on this side of the sign line would be 0. I always want to pick 0 when I can, because it's 0 plus 0 plus 10. That's 10. That's positive. And again, you could plug them into each side of the parenthesis, right? Let's plug in 0 there. That's 10. 0 there. That's 1. 10 times 1 is positive. So you can do it in the parentheses as well if you don't want to put it into the original equation. Either one works. We've got our sign line. Now, which interval do we pick? Well, we only want to know what's less than 0. That's this middle part, the negative part. So our answer is going to be in the interval negative 10 thirds to negative 1. Now, do we use parentheses or do we use brackets? Well, it's less than. It's not less than or equal to. In order to use brackets, you would have to have that line there. Okay, so it's going to be parentheses, and what this is saying is that the range of numbers that satisfy this equation is between negative 10 thirds and negative 1. So there you go. So your homework is just 3 questions. It's worksheet 2.10. All right, and I don't think there's any special instructions for that worksheet. And I will talk to you on the next video.